And what's interesting is the last line, the lyric sheet listed it as "I want to be alone." I've always heard it as "don't want to be alone," but
Yeah,
actually, for someone like that, neither one
yeah,
is. You're longing for space and you're longing for contact, and you
Mm.
can't tell which is which. And what's very interesting, I thought you might have something to say about this, Dad, or at least find it interesting, is that Kurt Cobain had a terrible opiate addiction, right?
yeah,
Heroin.
yeah.
Do you know where it started?
No.
He had awful lacerating stomach pains for years.
Oh, okay. So
Just
Wow.
I've written about that because
yeah.
in family practice, I see these kids with these stomach pains, and specialists would work them up, and they do all the studies, and there was nothing wrong. And sure, there was.
Yeah.
What was going on is that the family was very stressed and troubled, or even worse, and these kids' intestines literally churned with the family's pain and stress. And that's
Hmm.
what, and there's such a link between the emotions and the nervous system and the functioning of the gut. There's this big nerve called the vagus nerve. It's vagus from wandering, like vagaries, like vagabond, So vagus literally means the
Yeah.
wandering nerve,
Huh.
and and
Huh.
and
Mm.
because it's the biggest nerve, and it goes to our heart and our lungs and our diaphragm, and then also the organs beneath the diaphragm. And when the emotions are troubled, the vagus is troubled, and people have
Yeah.
stomach cramps and pains, or bowel dysfunction of all kinds, and doctors will say there's nothing wrong. Well, what they mean by that is that we don't understand what's going on. But what's going on is that the sensitive child is responding to the stress and trauma in the family. And
Mm.
to help the child, you don't give the child medications, you deal with the family stress and the family trauma.
Yeah.
So Kurt Cobain would have been one of these highly sensitive kids. Artists
Oh,
often
extremely.
are.
Yeah.
Artists often are these highly sensitive kids. That means
Yeah.
they feel a lot more, they download the stress in the family. Then, of
I
course,
wouldn't know anything about that.
no, I know you wouldn't. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
being sort of a totally stolid kind of child. Grow up in a perfectly functional family.
I don't
You know,
notice. I don't notice much.
yeah. The and So Cobain would have these severe pains. He'd take opiates just because nobody would talk to him about what these pains are all about. Because
Yeah.
the doctors just
Mm.
don't get it, and they don't get it despite all the scientific evidence. That's what's so strange.
Yeah.
So Cobain is another person who could have been helped
Yeah.
had anybody understood him.
Yeah.
But
But
typically in the
he was
medical profession, nobody does.
his stress was literally gut wrenching.
Yeah.
It it also reminds me of I do a lot of family constellation therapy,
Oh yeah.
um, and I'm a huge believer in that, or believer. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even know what to believe. It's just for me, that's what it is. But there was a case the other day when the therapist spoke about this young kid, our family with a young kid, an 8-year-old boy who was suicidal. Can you imagine an 8-year-old kid being
Yeah.
suicidal? And the parents went to the family constellation therapy and they put themselves down, the representatives of them and of the father's parents, and the kid was there, like
Yeah.
represented. I don't know if people know about this constellation therapy, but yeah, there's representatives of your story. And
Other
so
people in the group will step in as characters in your story, right?
yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
and in this case, without knowing who they represent. That's the whole thing about
Yeah.
my therapist. They don't give any information beforehand. But anyway, so they put the people down, and so the kid, the 8-year-old kid, or the representative of the kid, walks straight to the grandmother. So the therapist like, so what's with your grandmother? Asking the father,
Mhm.
and the father said, well, my mother committed suicide when I was 8. And so the therapists were like, have you ever spoken to your kid about this? And they were like, no, was a huge taboo. It's never been spoken about. The mother
Yeah.
was gone. There's a new mother coming in, and there's not even a picture of her in our house. And
Mm.
they were like, we strongly advise you to speak to your son about your mother, which of course for the father was a very difficult thing. But he did, and it was done overnight. Like the kid was fine.
Wow.
Yeah. Amazing. And I've
Yeah,
seen that. I've seen that. I've seen how somebody in the group who knows nothing about the family history
yeah,
somehow picks up on the energy, and it manifests the actual reality that happened a generation or two ago. It's
Yeah.
actually, it's almost miraculous, you know.
It is.
Yeah,
It's pretty. It's
it
pretty
is
magical
amazing.
work.
These words are mine.
Podcast
with Carice and Daniel.